Hi everyone, it's leilaniforgod. I'm back with another video. So in this video, I've been promising you guys I was going to cover the transgender agenda. And it's important to talk about because it's affecting children at this point. It's no longer just a discussion around the behavior of adults. And so we all have free will, and that's fine. But once you start infringing on the free will of children, there definitely needs to be a check for, is this righteous, and what is the future of the people who begin to get into adult behavior when they're still children. There's definitely an impact on those individuals and society when we start to affect children with adult discussions. So I want you guys to notice that even though I've talked about the Baphomet in many videos in the past, there are other images of the Baphomet that I might not have gone over. I just basically showed the ones where it's a goat head on a man's body. But these are also depictions of the Baphomet, the goat head, the devil, that the Satanists and the Luciferians, this is what those people worship. Okay? And this would be, in the scripture, would be considered the devil that was kicked out of heaven, who roams the earth seeking for people to devour. Okay? And one of the main not reasons, but ways that the devil is able to indoctrinate people is through influence, give you suggestions. Okay, and so I'm going to be showing in this video how a lot of celebrities have sold their souls by choosing to use their influence to promote the devil's agenda. So the first thing I want to point out, this is a bronze statue from the Satanic Temple, and you can see that it is a goat-headed male figure with breast implants. It's not an accident. One of their tools of influence is cross-dressing and just being deceptive in these ways. Anything that is deceptive is a work of the devil. And so disguising your identity is a form of deception. But I just wanted to show you guys why it is that I call it the work of the devil. Also, I want to let you guys know, because of some content that I went over in my past 3 videos, I'm going to do a video for you guys on Halloween and how it's a satanic witchcraft holiday. So I'm going to be getting into Satanism with Halloween, witchcraft, the one-eye symbol, and stuff like that in my next video. So stay tuned for that. And I'm also going to be exposing the rap music industry in another future video. So I want you guys to stay tuned for my upcoming content. Shout out to my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I made a comment in my last video where I said I have 680 subscribers right now, but every time I expose something, I lose 3 subscribers, and then I always get another 3 subscribers or more to replace them. And the funny thing is, that's exactly what happened when I dropped my last video. I went from 680 subscribers to 677, and now I'm back at 680. So 3 people joined. Thank you so much. It's kind of funny because just what I said happened. But it happens every time I make a video. I don't know, some people get annoyed or whatever for whatever reasons. They don't want to expose the work of the devil. They don't want to hear me expose the work of the devil, so they want to continue with their evil, demonic, wicked ways. So they have to get off this platform because they're being challenged by the fact that they probably participate in a lot of things that I wind up exposing. So this woman here, I saw a short video on YouTube where it said this homeless lady gives money to a stranger, and basically this woman is crying because she was in a store and a man walked up to her and said, "Can you buy me something? I don't have any money." And she said, "Yes, I'll buy it for you." And he said, "Actually, I'm so grateful that you would buy me something that I'm going to give you $1,000. And she immediately started to cry. And she said, "You don't know what kind of day I've had today." She said, "I went to church earlier today and I prayed for God to forgive me, and I repented from my homosexuality. That's why it says here on the screen when I was a homosexual." So she tells the guy that she just repented, gave up her homosexual ways, and went to church and prayed to God to forgive her. And now the man just shows up out of the blue and gives her $1,000. And she said, I gave my life to God just earlier that day. Okay? So I'm not a prosperity preacher. If you have a good relationship with God, then you will listen to what God is telling you about your individual purpose in life, and you'll get on track with what it is that God has put in you. And that's how you will be able to take care of yourself and pay for whatever it is that you need to survive in life. People tend to sell out for money, not realizing that when you make a deal with the devil, it never works out in the end. But when you actually are obedient to the will of God and to what God has put on your heart to do, that's when things work out for you, and you don't have to do any evil, wicked, demonic ceremonies or rituals to get what you want in life through witchcraft or deception or any other negative means. So I just wanted to show you guys just the same day that the woman gave up homosexuality and gave her heart to God, somebody randomly gave her $1,000. All right. One of the people in the comments under that video said, man, I cried. Even though she's struggling with her day that she had, praying that the Most High heard her prayers, overcoming homosexuality and giving her life to the Most High, she was still willing to be a blessing to someone else, a precious soul. So she was a kind-hearted person in the sense that she was going to buy whatever that man asked her to buy him. And that's what made him say, you know what, I'm going to bless you and give you some money. So back to the transgender agenda. This is their flag. Notice how everybody tries to piggyback on the Black Power movement whenever they come up with a new agenda. All right. They've already taken the rainbow that God gave to his people in the scriptures. OK, they've already taken over the rainbow. Now they're taking over the Black Power fist. And this is supposed to represent transgender rights. So it appears that, and I just took the screenshot today, so this video is only 1 day old. You guys should watch it. It says landmark trial over trans youth care begins in Arkansas. So in Arkansas, they're having a trial about whether or not they're going to pay for children to begin to transition into the opposite gender that they were born from. That means that they will receive surgeries. That means that they would receive medication. That means that they would get what is called puberty blockers, so that even before they reach the age of puberty, their body will not automatically go into puberty so that they can be whatever gender they choose to be. Now we're talking about if you're before puberty. Puberty is usually about 12 years old. That's, I think, is the average age that most humans start going into puberty. So that means that these children are less than 12 years old. Okay? And they're having a debate in court about whether or not to provide transgender medical services to children who are less than 12 years old. Now, what happens is that when people are already adults, and they decide to transition from one gender to the other, male to female or female to male, there is some inequalities that happen in society that are just simply unfair. And it's a growing concern that men who were born men, who identify as transgender, they say, I'm a woman trapped in a man's body. They are taking over female sports. Females didn't even have sports until like 50 years ago. As soon as women get a little something, a little bit of tiny advance in society, men find a way to snatch it back. So now men are saying, I'm a woman. They're competing as women and they're winning titles and awards and pushing women out of spaces that were just created for women. It's simply not fair. These are supposed to be female bodybuilders. I Googled female bodybuilders, and this is what I came up with. A woman cannot achieve this with her body, not a natural born female. A real woman born as a female could never achieve this. Okay? But they're sitting here competing as female bodybuilders. And of course they're outperforming the women. Why is this under female bodybuilders? Because the sport has been taken over by men. And many sports that women are in have been taken over by men who identify as transgender. All they have to say is, I'm a woman. Right? And they can get in and do whatever women do and take whatever they could take away from women. And this is part of the global order of Satan. Notice the LGBTQ flag colors over their logo. Okay? Notice how there's an emphasis with the satanic statue on the children. The devil wants to have his influence over children. Another name for the devil, Satan, Lucifer, is Pan. Pan the goat god. Okay? Pan is playing pipes. Because it was said that when God created Satan, Satan had pipes. God gifted Satan with pipes. Pipes is the ability to sing. When we say someone has pipes, it means they sing really well, like a Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey, somebody who could really sing from deep down in their, diaphragm. That's what is meant by pipes. But when people draw pictures of the devil, they depict them with playing the flute or some other type of wind instrument like pipes. Another thing that this goat god Pan is associated with is homosexuality, anal sex, and pedophilia. And that's why they have a lot of pictures of the devil, the goat god Pan, with young children, young boys, or performing anal sex. Okay, so here's one of bestiality with the goat Pan doing bestiality to an animal. Okay. So the word pansexual comes from this goat god Pan, which is just another name for the devil. Pansexual means not limited in sexual choice with regard to biological sex, gender, or gender identity. Here we have a picture of Lamar Odom. He was a Laker, a famous basketball player. He married one of the Kardashians and he divorced her, I think. And he almost died because I think he OD'd on drugs inside of a brothel in Las Vegas where prostitution is legal. So he went to a legal brothel, but he OD'd on drugs while he was there. And he has not been the same since. He definitely shows signs of brain damage right now at this point in his life. I took this screenshot. It says Lamar Odom was trending last week when he was seen all across social media with a popular Australian transgender actress. Well, it appears that the two have split up, and Daniela, the trans woman, seems to be in her feelings over things ending. So this is Lamar Odom with a man who went through whatever transgender processes to look very much like a woman. And you see Lamar Odom is pictured. And this is some more of the surgeries that the man went through in order to appear like a woman. So the face does appear like a female, of course, with the breast implants and the butt implants. It does appear like a female. This is another screenshot of the breast implants. Okay, guys. And this is the reason why I showed you at the beginning of the slide, a man having the breast implants is one of the many ways that the Satanic Temple identifies their god, Satan. Okay? And again, the statue is also depicted with children. All right. And so that's why I talked about the trial over trans youth care begins in Arkansas. Okay? You guys should watch that video and understand, what's really being discussed on a legal level. Because if they win one case here, then it spreads all over the place, and then it becomes the social norm. And then people wonder why everything is, going to hell. They don't factor in that God's wrath is upon us. They never think about God. They only care about the devil. What the devil want to do, they want to hurry up and do that. What God want us to do, they don't want to do that. Someone made a comment saying a kid is what you call a baby goat, and the nature of a goat is considered mischievous, as opposed to a sheep you call a human being, a child, or children. All right. So basically, I just brought that out because some people do say don't call children kids, because it's just another way that the satanic agenda is infiltrating our everyday language and causing us to, I guess, advocate for the devil. All right. How else is this affecting the youth? It says here, drag queens read stories with positive gender fluid role models to children. NBC News. Drag queens read books to children to teach them about acceptance and gender identity. Registered child sex offender read to kids in drag. Okay, so as long as this man can dress up as a woman and say he's a woman, he can go and read to kids as a registered sex offender. Scripture says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. I wanted to share with you guys something that I found online about terminology surrounding gender identity and expression. So when they talk about they're reading books to kids in libraries about gender fluidity and gender identity, they keep increasing the list of what these things are. What are the various ways that they're trying to tell people they can be different genders? Now, the scientific definition of a gender is either male or female. That's it. There's no more to that. Some people are born hermaphrodite, meaning they have both male and female reproductive organs on the inside or on the outside, but that's very rare. These people have come up with so many different words that they're teaching children words like agender, a person that identifies as not having a gender. Cisgender. Cisgender is commonly used to refer to people who identify exclusively with the gender they were assigned at birth. So they don't want you to call yourself a male, a female, a girl, a boy, a man, a woman. No, if you consider I'm a woman, if I consider myself a woman, they want me to call myself cisgender. But they want a man who dresses as a woman to call himself a woman. And a woman who dresses as a man, they want to be called a man. But if you was really born a woman and you're really born a man biologically, they want you to call yourself cisgender so that they can call themselves men and women. Demigender, gender questioning, gender fluid, gender queer, intergender, multigender, non-binary, pangender, that's that pansexual agenda, transgender, trans, androgen, tomboy, butch, femme, gender non-conforming. Then there's pronouns. Okay, I'm surprised this list doesn't have something I heard of. Non-binary. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. There's even more below it. All right, guys. But basically, I just wanted to show you guys how The information is being created and taught to children at a very young age, so that by the time that children become adults, they will not have any concept of what is righteous. They will only have been indoctrinated to the work of the devil. Now, in the past, according to these articles I found online, Arresting Dress, a timeline of anti-cross-dressing laws in the United States. It says, in fact, a person perceived as a male who dressed in clothing customarily designed for women could technically be arrested in New York. And not just in New York, in California, in a number of states, there used to be laws on the books against a man dressing as a woman. And the reason why is because it's deceptive. If you went out late and was having a good time with your friends, going to clubs or whatever, and a man dressed as a woman robs you, how can you report to the police that you just got robbed by a woman and that man could run around the corner and take off his wig and his dress and be a man? It's like impossible to determine this person's identity. And that was the reason why it was against the law for a man to dress as a woman's in a woman's clothing. Now in scripture, God says it's an abomination that a man should not wear a woman's clothes and a woman should not wear a man's clothes. And I take that to mean being deceptive in your clothing. People who worship the devil, they try to misconstrue my words and say, oh, that means women, she's saying women can't wear pants. I wear pants. I wear pants that were made for women. Pants that are made for women in the women's clothing section are not sewn the same way that men's pants are sewn. Women's pants are usually sewn in a way that shows their figure is still feminine, whereas men's pants tend to be more boxy. So there's a difference in how it's made so that you still maintain your feminine figure. It's not deceptive. A white man wears a black mask. This man put on a black mask and was robbing banks. Okay, this is a picture. This man was robbing banks wearing a black male's face mask. Somehow they caught him. I don't know how, but they eventually caught him. Okay, it's deceptive to change your identity. And why would you want to do that unless you intend to deceive somebody? If you believe that you are a woman living in a man's body, then go about your life as a man, living as a man with a woman living inside your body. Don't change your appearance to be deceptive. There's something called transvestigations on YouTube. YouTube has deleted the vast majority of YouTube channels that that specifically did transvestigations. They used to investigate celebrities and show how a lot of celebrity females had like Adam's apples, and they had like men's jawlines and men's hands, men's feet, different characteristics that separate biological men and women in everyday life. And they would point it out in celebrities so that people could see that there's a lot of men doing women's roles in TV and movies. Venus and Serena were the subject of transvestigations. They were saying that the muscle tone, the jaw lines and the wideness of the shoulders on these athletes indicate that they may have been born men. Now, I don't know if they were born men or not. I haven't been between their legs. People said, well, Serena had a baby. Well, you can easily Google moon bumps, fake prosthetic bellies. They come at every stage of pregnancy, and they come in all types of colors. So you can, put on a moon bump and walk around and pretend to be pregnant all you want. There's a clip that went viral of Beyonce years ago when she was supposedly pregnant with her first child. She went on a news show, I think in a foreign country like Australia. And when she sat down in the chair, her belly folded. And you could tell that it was a moon bump. It wasn't a real pregnant belly. Now, the child actually, I think this is when she was supposed to be pregnant with Blue Ivy. Blue Ivy did come out looking like both Beyonce and Jay-Z. So she could have done a surrogate situation where they fertilized Beyonce's egg with Jay-Z's sperm and then put it in a surrogate mother. A different woman could have carried, and that's why the baby still came out looking like both of them. Or, Beyonce could have really carried. But in that particular clip, the way that Beyonce's stomach folded, she got busted for wearing a moon bump. Why are you doing that if you're really carrying? But back to Serena and Venus. It was speculated in transvestigations. I think this video is still on YouTube, that they may have been born boys. So when you look at a picture of them as children, in my opinion, if you look at them as boys, they look a lot more handsome than if you think of them as girls. Okay? I'm talking about when they were children. So then with Ronald Reagan, he was a U.S. president, and they were pictured with him. So it would seem that they were intended from a very young age to become famous. Because why would they, as such small children, be pictured with the president of the United States of America and then grow up to become famous? So that would be like another clue that, Hollywood has planted them. And if they were born boys and raised as females, that would explain why they were able to dominate the female tennis competition. Because if they were competing as men, the scores that they now have as women would put them at the bottom of the list if they were to compete as men. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if men compete as women, they could win all the titles. But if these were to be men competing with men, they would not have won any titles at all. So I don't know if they're males or females. I know that if they were born boys, they would be a lot cuter as these kids. If you told me these were two little boys, I would be like, oh, they're handsome, they're cute. But when you say that they're girls, it's like, okay, all right. All right. So when you have men that compete as women, women can't compete. That's how they win. And that feeds into their male ego. Supposed to be a female bodybuilder. These are female bodybuilders, supposedly. Go on Google, look up female bodybuilders, and scroll down. You let me know when you find a woman. Someone recently came out with a documentary about a month or two ago. It's called What is a Woman? At least go and watch the trailer on YouTube. What is a woman? So a man went around and he questioned people, what is a woman? And people did not even feel comfortable to say a woman is what God created as a woman at the time that she was born. People tried to flip it, bounce it, and include men as women. Like, people are definitely indoctrinated, and they're afraid to say that a man is what God created to be a man and a woman is what God created to be a woman. They won't say that. They are willing to accommodate the lies of the devil. Someone wrote a comment underneath the trailer for the What is a Woman documentary, and she said, as a woman, thank you. You're saving women. I thought the sports thing was a joke. A joke. I'm sickened. I know most of the world isn't athletic, but wow, I thought they had eyes. As men get older, they get stronger, developing chest muscles. As women get older, they get fatter, developing breast tissue, all fat. A woman trained to the best of her ability cannot beat a man at his best. Come on. Thank God you're doing this. Okay? So the woman, I don't know if she saw the whole documentary, but at least from the trailer, she's saying she didn't realize how serious it is of how many men are claiming to be women and taking over women's sports when it's obvious that men are stronger than women, and that's just not fair. If you think about the sport of boxing, they have like weight classes, like featherweight, lightweight, up to heavyweight. And in order to make it fair, that's between men. They're not going to let a heavyweight box a featherweight. That's just not fair. What is the difference between a man competing in a sport against a woman? You have a heavyweight competing against a lightweight. Here's an article that says there is a civil war brewing in equality. Okay. The war involves the role of transgenders in women's sports. A person born male can become a woman and then compete as a woman in sports. The argument is that including transgendered athletes who are really men will ruin women's sports. Such men enjoyed the natural male advantages of muscle mass and limb length that allows them to dominate in any competition. The root of this struggle is Title IX of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The Title IX intended to expand the law to forbid discrimination against women. Okay? Schools used to allocate less money to women's athletics than to men's sports. The courts forced those schools to create some level of equality for female athletes. Move the clock ahead to 2016. With less than 1 year before the end of his term, President Obama issued an executive order extending Title IX protection to transgenders, those attempting to change their sex to their biological opposite. So President Obama was the one who said transgender men can perform in female sports. The transitioning process typically takes months, even years. For men, it begins with injections of estrogen hormones, which causes the body to acquire the outward characteristics of a female gradually. With the governing authorities displaying such fecklessness, it is not surprising that men are now competing in women's cycling. They are doing well, very well. One such athlete, R. McKinnon, once Mr. Reese McKinnon, I'm going to skip to the bottom of this paragraph. It says a furor ignited when McKinnon won the UCI women's sprint 35 to 39 age bracket Masters Track Cycling World Championship in LA in 2018. McKinnon, he edged out natural-born female contestants. And then he claimed to be the first openly transgender athlete to win a world championship in any sport. McKinnon shared the thrill of his victory on social media. McKinnon clearly enjoys a physical advantage over the competition, which is women. Of course, McKinnon dismisses any such concerns as transphobic bigotry. He said, "This is bigger than sports. It's about human rights. By catering to cisgender people's views, that furthers transgender people's oppression. I bet a lot of white people were aggravated when we desegregated sports racially and allowed black people, but they had to deal with it." So he's comparing his ability as a man to take titles away from women in women's sports to black people fighting for equal rights against racist white people. To make this even more unbelievable, McKinnon believes that any requirement that such athletes be required to have undergone hormone and surgical treatments is discriminatory. So this guy is saying he can be born a man, walk up to a woman's competition, tell them verbally that he is a woman. He should be allowed to compete as a woman and win, even if he's never had hormone therapy. He has not had his penis removed. He has not done anything that would medically classify him as a woman by today's standards. All he has to do is claim to be a woman. That's it. Someone wrote a comment under a article about a similar subject about the transgender, and they said part of this sick transgender agenda is to diminish women's representation in films and media overall. They're casting trans women in roles meant for cisgender women. They're overcasting women in modeling and other advertising like makeup ads. Even Laverne Cox, which is the name of a transgender actress, plays actual women in her acting gigs. Laverne Cox was born a man. He wears women's clothing and wigs, and he plays women's roles in his acting gigs. My thing is, since it's so obvious, would it be wrong if women started voicing out against it? See, the problem is that women have been prevented from these roles for the longest time to begin with. So being that women just got rights within the past maybe 50 years to even have a job and the right to vote, and simple things that we don't realize just happened within the past 50 years. And now men have created this loophole where they could snatch all of the advancements women have made back. I know for a fact women's roles have been played by men at least since the 1800s. Gender on Shakespeare's stage. It was standard theatrical practice for men to portray women on stage in mannerism and in costume. In Shakespeare's day, female parts were played by male actors. So this was way back in the 1800s, I think. Okay, so all of the female parts in Shakespeare's plays back when he was alive, all of the plays, not just Shakespeare. I'm just using Shakespeare as a reference of time frame. Ever since acting was a thing in public under societies controlled by Europeans, men have played the parts of women. So it's not a new thing that is happening right now. And they keep making these articles saying transgenders need to be more represented in media. Transgenders have always been represented in media. Elliot Page comes out as transgender. Okay, this actor has played the role of women throughout his entire career. Everyone thought that this person's, I think he went by the name as Elliot Page for his career. He just recently came out as transgender at the end of 2020, right? But even that was deceptive because it was always a man from the beginning. So for him to come out and say he's transgender, he tried to say he's a woman going to transition towards being a man. So now he changed his name from Elliot Page to Elliot Page. The deception with that is it always was a man. He's not transitioning from a woman to a man right now. What he's really doing is coming out and saying, I really am a man. I've been a man all along. I've just always got movie roles as a woman. But instead of saying that, he'll say, I'm a transgender. I'm a woman transitioning to man. No, you always were a man. Now you're just being honest about the fact that you are a man. The deception is the problem. You're not coming out as transgender. You are now making it obvious that you are what you always were, which is a man. Okay, this is how this person acted in tons of movies as Elliot Page, and now recently wants to say, oh, call me Elliot. That's probably his original name that he was born as. It always was a man. Oscar nominee Elliot Page. Let's see what kind of movies he was able to do as a woman. He was the main star in this movie Juno. Played the role of a pregnant female. See the fake belly bump? That's a moon bump. Always was a man. He was in the movie Inception. Played the role of a female, Adrienne. Played the role of a female in this movie Hard Candy. Was the main character of the movie. Played a female. Was a man the whole time. Has been in this movie X-Men. Played Kitty Pryde. Played a female role. Always was a man. This is Elliot Page in the movie Juno with the fake belly bump. Played a pregnant teenage female. Was a man the whole time. So why do they keep making up this stuff that Hollywood needs trans actors? As if there's a shortage. As if this hasn't been going on for the past 200 years. People on YouTube do transvestigation videos. This one they did on Amber Heard, Johnny Depp's girlfriend. Sorry guys, I lost my place. This one is about this guy transitioning from male to female. Okay? So look up transvestigations on YouTube for yourself. This article says this guy tricked Miami men by not revealing being born a male and doesn't care. Deception. So he starts out like this. He transitioned into this. Kind of looks like a female. It's convincing, I guess. Got the breast implants. But didn't want to tell men that he was born a man and he doesn't care. Here's an article, or excuse me, a YouTube video from France 24. We're all transgender, says actress Lena Bloom. So that means that this person is a transgender and wants to say we're all transgender. QAnon says everyone's trans now. QAnon was a big deal back when the pandemic first started. People were watching a lot of QAnon videos and they were saying that all of these celebrities were going to be mass arrested for child trafficking. And what else? Oh man, I can't even remember because it was so long ago. QAnon had this long list of celebrities that they claimed were going to be arrested for all of, adrenochrome. They said that they were taking adrenochrome, that they were kidnapping children and trafficking them, and it was a big mess. And they said that by a certain date, when Trump was in president, that Trump was going to put a commercial on TV or something and show everybody the celebrities who were a part of the adrenochrome trafficking of children. Anyway, that time has passed and none of the stuff happened that they said was going to happen. Only a couple of people got arrested, like Epstein. Who else? I don't think anybody else. Epstein and his what is it called? Like his consort, Ghislaine Maxwell, they both got arrested for trafficking children. But that's it. I can't think of anybody else. But QAnon had a very long list. They said all these people, all these celebrities that we've heard of, A-list celebrities, all these people were going to get arrested. So whatever they said never came true. Okay? And now they have a whole new theory that everyone is trans now. This is a drag queen who was on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Okay. gets a lot of movie roles, television roles, and is a drag queen. Shangela says he got a standing ovation from Beyonce and Jay-Z. Okay? So the drag queen is being promoted even by Jay-Z and Beyonce. Of course, we have Tyler Perry, who we know got famous for dressing as a female, Medea. Some years ago, he supposedly had a baby with this woman. We've never heard about the baby or the woman ever since. The only thing that he seems to be allowed to talk about in public is the fact that he dresses like a woman. They don't want him to promote the fact that he had a baby the way God intended. That's not up front. What's up front is that he cross-dresses. Back in the day, they used to call it a transvestite. Here is a playlist by a trans person that has videos on YouTube, how to feminize your body for trans women, how to sit cross-legged, booty workout for trans women, life as a trans lady boy in the Philippines. So they study how to be feminine. This content creator, Elliot, she made a comment under one of her videos where she was talking about Beyonce and female empowerment normally go hand in hand, but many are surprised that she would feature a transgender named T.S. Madison, who is known to humiliate and disrespect black women daily. On a related note, Bros movie, which stars T.S. Madison and Miss Lawrence, which are both men who dress like women, is a certified flop at the box office, and producers are blaming straight people for not supporting. I wonder why. So once again, there's a reference to Beyonce promoting a transgender, just as there was with the other drag queen saying that Jay-Z and Beyonce gave him a standing ovation. Why is Beyonce promoting men taking over female roles? Isn't it Beyonce's role so far in her career to be like feminist? Who runs the world? Girls. Now she's promoting men who say that they're women. Okay. Oh, I just now noticed this. So Elliot has the 666 hand sign on her YouTube platform. So even though she's speaking out against transgenders, she's still down with the satanic agenda. 666 hand sign there. And she put it there. That's part of the set that she built for herself. So even when people are telling the truth, you still have to look out for if they're down with the agenda. Anyway, transgenders are regretting transitioning. A TikToker's journey de-transitioning. So I don't know what this person started out as, male or female, but whatever they started out as, they want to go back to their original way that God made them. Beneath that, it says, I miss my penis. Brave de-trans men speak out. So that's men who transition to women. Now they miss their penis. They regret it. I became transgender. Here is why I regret it. This person has gray hair. Ex-transgender with regret. You will regret transitioning. Trans regret. Massive depression after trans surgery. A leftist article accidentally exposes the nightmare of transgender surgery. Ex-trans teen regrets gender journey and exposes the lies of transitioning. Sad truth. The tragic tale of Jazz Jennings from I Am Jazz. So this is a person who was born a boy who decided that he wanted to transition into being a female while he was still a small child. He got a reality television show on like Lifetime or TLC called I Am Jazz, and his parents were all in agreement with him transitioning, and they filmed it. And once he started doing all the surgeries and taking all the medications, he gained a lot of weight and became extremely depressed. Okay? So now he's living with a lot of regrets. Scripture, Proverbs 13:21. Disaster pursues sinners. Evil pursueth sinners, and to the just good shall be repaid. Trouble follows sinners everywhere, but righteous people will be rewarded with good things. So all of these people who are making all of this content saying that they regret transitioning, trouble follows their transition and makes them regret it. They have aches and pains. They cannot enjoy a normal sex life with the alternative body parts. But we still have God's grace at this time. God is still giving us time and opportunity to actually listen to our intuition that God has blessed us with, to hear God's voice and get in touch with what did God put it on your heart for you to do with your life. And if you would tune into that and live from that purpose that God has put in you, you would be happier with your life. People are going against the nature that God has put in them. And then they wonder why they're miserable and unhappy after they've tried to force themselves into positions that God did not put in them. So as long as we still are alive, we can still turn our ways from our wickedness, repent, ask God for forgiveness, ask God to remind us, what did you put in me that I could be a blessing to other people and be happy with my life, stay in my lane. It's not too late to find your way back to God, regardless of the situation. So that's the end of my slides for this particular presentation. I'll see you guys in my next videos. Like I said, I'm going to be going over Halloween, witchcraft, the one-eyed symbol, the rap, hip-hop music industry. So I have a lot more stuff to share with you guys. Stay tuned and stay blessed.